Okay, what up? We are going to continue on with our discussion of the gas laws. And first up, the next law we have is Boyle's Law. And there's three laws that we're going to talk about right now, and I'm going to show you a way to remember them also. And we're going to put them all together at the end because there's one that combines them all together. So really, you don't have to learn how to use each one mathematically individually, but you do need to know what each one says. So the first one up that's listed here is Boyle's Law, and it says for a given mass of gas at constant temperature, volume varies inversely with pressure. So keep in mind that we're keeping the temperature constant, so we're not going to refer to that mathematically, and you can see that it says P1 times V1 equals P2 times V2. And so what that means is that the volume varies inversely. So think about what inverse means. That means opposite. Okay, so if volume is opposite to pressure, that means if the pressure goes up, the volume goes down, and if the volume goes up, then the pressure goes down, and vice versa. So I want you to get a regular white piece of paper like this, and I want you to write in huge capital letters P, T, V, just like this. Okay, and underneath P, we're not going to write anything yet, and underneath V, we're not going to write anything yet, but this Boyle's Law keeps temperature constant. So underneath T, I want you to write Boyle's Law, like this. Okay, and this is something that I learned in high school, how to use it to help me remember the different laws. So what this does is Boyle's Law holds the temperature constant. So put your finger on it on your desk. You don't have to hold it up like I am. Put your finger on it and hold it, and notice that when you hold temperature constant, if the pressure goes up, the volume goes down. And if the volume goes up, the pressure goes down. Okay, so pressure and volume vary inversely to each other. So let's look at the next one. The next one is known as Charles's Law, and that's the temperature-volume relationship. So volume of a fixed mass of gas is directly proportional to Kelvin temperature. So that means that in this case, we are holding the pressure constant, because if the mass is fixed, then the pressure isn't going to change. Okay, so underneath P, I want you to write Charles's Law. Okay, like this. So far it should look like this. P is Charles's Law. So what that says is if you hold the pressure constant, temperature is directly proportional to volume. So remember, inversely proportional means opposite. Directly proportional means whatever happens to one is also going to happen to the other. And look, it works. When the temperature goes up, the volume goes up. When the temperature goes down, the volume goes down, and vice versa. If the volume goes up, the temperature goes up. Volume down, temperature down. So that tells you that Charles's Law says that temperature and volume are directly proportional to each other. Boyle's Law says that pressure and volume are inversely proportional to each other. Isn't that so cool? Okay, there's one more law, and ha ha ha, yes, it has a funny name. Get over it. It's called Gay-Lussac's Law. Okay, and Gay-Lussac's Law says that pressure is directly proportional to Kelvin temperature, keeping the volume constant. So we're going to write that one underneath V for volume, because we're holding the volume constant. And look, it still works. When the pressure goes up, the temperature goes up. When the pressure goes down, the temperature goes down, and vice versa. This explains why, you know, those cans of air that you can clean a keyboard with, or your propane tank underneath your barbecue, if you've ever felt it after using it for a while, or the can of air, it gets really cold. Because is the volume of the can changing or the tank changing? No, we're holding that constant. But when you're letting the gas out rapidly, the pressure inside the container is dropping, and so the temperature drops with it. Okay, so that explains why that happens. So mathematically, this is the important part now. All of these laws put together is P1 V1 over N1 T1 equals P2 V2 over N2 T2. Okay, and you're going to have to memorize this. You don't have to memorize the mathematical versions of each individual law, because if you memorize this, then you have all of Boyle's, Charles, and Gay-Lussac's law memorized all in one. Okay, so it's kind of like Pivnert. You have to remember PV equals nRT. Now you're going to have to remember P1 times V1 over N1 times T1 equals P2 times V2 over N2 times T2. Okay, and the reason that there's a 1 and a 2 is because the 1 is the original and the 2 is the new pressure, volume, number of moles, and temperature. Okay, so we used Pivnert when there was only one of every kind of measurement. We're going to use this now when you have more than one of a particular kind of measurement, and of course the only way to do it is to do an example. So I call these before and after problems, or a change. You have to look for a change. Look for words and numbers in the problem that indicate a change has taken place, and that will tell you to use the combined gas law, P1V1 N1T1 over N1T1 equals P2V2 over N2T2. Okay, instead of Pivnert. If there's no change, if everything stays the same, then you're going to use Pivnert. So let's look at this example. A sample of nitrogen gas has a pressure of 2.5 atmospheres at 25 degrees Celsius. What temperature is required to increase the pressure to 4 atmospheres, assuming fixed volume and amount of nitrogen? So what's going on here is we have two pressures. You have 4 atmospheres and 2.5 atmospheres. Okay, let's go ahead and circle those so you can see we have 2 pressures. So that tells you that you have to use the before and after formula. P1V1 over N1T1 equals P2V2 over N2T2. Okay, if we didn't have 2, then you would just use Pivnert. Now the beauty of the combined gas law is if anything is ever fixed, or if anything isn't mentioned at all, then you get to just cross it out. So as always, make a list: P1, V1, N1, T1. Always write down what you know from the problem: P2, V2, N2, T2. Okay, so reread the question. A sample of nitrogen gas has a pressure of 2.5 atmospheres. So there's my P1 at 25 degrees Celsius. There's my T1. What temperature is required? So we're looking for T2 to increase the pressure to 4 atmospheres. There's my P2. Assuming fixed volume and amount of nitrogen. So when you have something that's fixed, you get to cross it out completely. Okay? As usual, you need to check that your units are atmospheres, liters, moles, Kelvin. So we need to add 273 to this measurement right here to make it 298 Kelvin. Okay, and then you just plug and chug into your formula. Now we're left with P1 over T1 equals P2 over T2. Okay, because we got rid of the volume and we got rid of the number of moles from our equation thanks to the fixed volume and amount of nitrogen. So just plug it in and solve just like you normally would. So we have 2.5 atmospheres over 298 Kelvin equals 4 atmospheres over T2. So we're looking to solve for T2. So you need to cross multiply. Okay, so cross multiply this. So you have 2.5 T2 equals 4 atmospheres times 298. So when you divide both sides by 2.5, you get 476.8 Kelvin. There's your final answer. Circle it. Okay, so that's our temperature that's required to increase the pressure. Here's another brain break. See if you can figure this out. Oh, that's a tough one. Not a tough one. Very tough one. So our last example, and then we'll be done. Again, like usual, I want you to pause the video here, see if you can solve this before I do, and then come back and check your answers. So, a fish farted, and a 3.5 milliliter bubble of gas forms deep in the lake where the temperature is 7 and the pressure is 1.95. The bubble rises to just below the surface where the temperature is 18 and the pressure is 750. What's the volume of the bubble just before it hits the surface of the lake? So we have changes going on here. We're not going to use Pivnert. There's more than one of different types of measurements. So there's more than one temperature, there's more than one pressure. So we need to keep track of that when we use our formula. Okay, so we're going to use the combined gas law again. P1 V1 over N1 T1 equals P2 V2 over N2 T2. Okay, let's make our list. P1 V1 N1 T1 P2 V2 N2 T2. And let's read the question. A fish farted and a 3.5 milliliter bubble, that's a volume, 3.5 milliliters, of gas forms deep in a lake where the temperature is 7 degrees Celsius and the pressure is 1.95 atmospheres. The bubble rises just below the surface where the temperature, so there's our new temperature, is 18 degrees Celsius and the pressure is 750 millimeters of mercury. What is the volume of the bubble? So we're looking for V2 just before it hits the surface of the lake. So there's no mention of number of moles, so we can eliminate that from the formula and from our little list here. And then we need to make sure everything is in the correct units. So 1.95 atmospheres, that's good to go, so I'm going to circle that. 3.5 milliliters, that needs to be converted into liters. So move the decimal 3 places to the left because it's divided by 1,000. So that's 0.0035 liters. And 7 degrees Celsius plus 273 gives us 280 Kelvin. Okay. Over here we need to divide by 760, which gives us 0.9 atmospheres to convert that to atmospheres. We're looking for volume and the temperature. Again, we're going to add 273 to get that into Kelvin. So that gives us 291 Kelvin. Okay, so now all we have to do is plug and chug into our formula. So the pressure is 1.95 atmospheres. The volume originally is 0.0035 liters. Put that over the original temperature of 280 Kelvin. That's equal to our new pressure, 0.9 atmospheres. We're looking for the new volume, V2, over the new temperature, 291 Kelvin. Okay, so when we cross multiply, we're going to multiply these two together. So that's going to give us 252 V2 is equal to, when we cross multiply these two together, 1.986. And when we divide both sides by 252, that's going to give us our new volume of 0.00788 liters, or to make more sense we should put it into milliliters, so that'd be 7.88 milliliters when you move the decimal place 3 places to the right. Okay, so now you have the two kinds of gas laws, the ideal gas law and the combined gas law. Those are the two ones that involve math really anyway, and so make sure you remember that the difference is one has no changes, and the combined, that's the ideal gas law, and then the combined gas law has more than one type of a measurement.